Hi everybody, Kyle here. I want to talk about the Oldsmar water treatment plant hack that happened last week and was reported earlier this week in Florida. If you're not familiar, Oldsmar is a town about 50 miles north of Tampa with a population of about 15,000 people. Their water treatment plant was hacked on Friday of last week, wherein a remote attacker managed to get into a computer and tell the computer to add about 100 times the amount of lye or sodium hydroxide to the water than it would normally have. Luckily, there's an employee watching the computer and they managed to reverse the effects right away so that nothing actually happened. And it turns out that they did have other safeguards in place that would have prevented this from actually reaching homes. But it's still a pretty frightening attack to begin with, and it was a fairly close call. So I kind of want to talk about how this happened and what lessons that businesses can take away from it. So much of the reporting about this hack has focused on the fact that the computer was running Windows 7, which has not been in extended support for a year now. There is technically an extended service plan you can get for Windows 7. However, given some of the other factors and likely budgetary constraints of a small municipal water treatment plant, it's unlikely that they had this extended support plan. But that actually doesn't seem to be what was the main cause of this hack. The big cause comes from a program called TeamViewer that they had installed. TeamViewer is a fairly simple program that allows you remote access to a computer. Looks like they had it configured with a common password that everyone in the plant knew so they could access that computer from wherever they were. And this password was likely breached and compromised, and that's how the attacker managed to get in the first place. Which really comes down to one of the big things I'm going to focus on in a later video series about ransomware, is that we really need to be careful about what remote access software we use. With any kind of remote access solution, you really want to have a few things in place, such as strong encryption to get into the system in the first place. You want every employee to have their own credentials so that if there is any kind of suspicious activity, you can trace it down to the account. And if it is an actual hack, you can figure out what account was breached and potentially narrow down how that password was leaked in the first place. And in the case of this attack, while we don't know who the attacker was yet, the former director of CISA, which is the cybersecurity group that monitored US elections, for example, speculates that it was very likely the work of a disgruntled employee. You also want to make sure your remote access solution has two-factor authentication so that even if a password is compromised, there's still a second factor such as a notification on your phone that you have to acknowledge in order to get into the system in the first place. That way, breach password isn't enough for someone to get into the system. I also want to be clear that none of this is intended to be a criticism of the IT department at the Oldsmar water treatment plant. We don't know what constraints may have existed to cause this environment to happen, but it is a good idea to use this event to really look at your own cybersecurity infrastructure and go, okay, well, what weaknesses do we have? What can we be targeted with? And how can we take care of this to make sure that we're not victims of this? I hope this kind of explains how we can use the Oldsmar water treatment facility attack as a learning opportunity to make sure that the things that happen there don't happen to your environment. If you have any questions, you can let us know on Twitter or Instagram at ReliabilityTech. Or if you're interested in a network assessment, you can check us out online at reliabilitytech.ca or give us a call at 825-440-2061, and we'd be happy to schedule something with you. Thank you. Have a great day.